Welcome to Kegels and Coffee. My name is Isabel and I'm your host. I met Dasha in Rodellar this spring through my friend Ciara. One morning, while doing yoga in the sun, she began telling me the story of how she had recently left Russia. On our drive back to Cornudella, just a couple days later, our talk continued. While trying to process the intense stories that Dasha was sharing, I couldn't help but wonder whether she would be open to recording with me. I was hesitant to ask, but I also knew I would regret it later if I didn't. She instantly said yes and thanked me for giving her a voice. Dasha is now 23 years old. She was born in Ufa, Russia, and spent a lot of time with her grandparents growing up. She fell in love with rock climbing at age 9 and won 4 World Youth Championships in speed climbing. Dasha received a bachelor's degree in engineering and geology, but soon after got into organizing events, working for sport agencies. She was based out of Moscow when international companies started pulling out of Russia due to the war, and the snowboarding competition Dasha was helping organize was postponed until further notice. She lost her job. In the meantime, friends of hers were going to jail for being foreign agents, people who spoke up against the war on Instagram or went to demonstrations were arrested. Dasha's desire to leave the country grew, but she also knew that leaving Russia meant abandoning her country and becoming a traitor to those who supported Putin. After jumping through a lot of logistical loops in order to actually be allowed to leave Russia, she finally made it over the border to Estonia in April of 2022. And though Dasha felt great relief, she was also terrified. The support of the climbing community has played an immense role in her transition to Europe. Dasha is receiving help from all around the world, including her close climbing friends from Ukraine. Yet again, this particular group of people that so many of us call family amazes me with the community support and just immediate feeling of home it offers. But it has been hard for Dasha to let go of the deep-seated guilt and shame she feels. It will take time to process the immense transition and all the emotions that have come along with it. In her own words, climbing will help me find the pieces of myself that I have lost.
No, seriously, what am I doing with my life?
How did that come across? Did they hear me?
I feel like I'm losing my fucking mind.
You're messed up.
I need to just Netflix and chill.
Like I'm gonna meditate like a badass.
It's just like this psychotic break, and then I get my period, and I'm like, oh, it was just your period again.
Am I the only one feeling this crazy? Okay, Dasha, well, I honestly don't know really how to begin. And I feel so honored to be with you.
I'm honored to be with you, honestly. Yeah, thank you for having me here.
Yeah, I feel so touched that I get to hear your story and share your story. And on our way back from Rodellar to Cornudella, we had already had a nice conversation, but on that drive, you were able to, tell me a little bit more about your background in climbing and work and how right before the war started, you were actually really involved in event management. And that part I found really interesting.
I started climbing when I was 9 or 10, something around that, but I was raised and born in Russia, so I was basically into gym climbing at the time and had little experience of rock climbing, and yeah, that's it. And now I'm in Cornudella, the heaven for rock climbing, and it's Ciara nearby. I still can't believe it.
It's a beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
I think you landed in the perfect place.
Yeah, I am in the perfect place, and even under such circumstances, I'm very grateful to be here. So before the war, I was living in Moscow. So I just moved to Moscow 1 year ago, and I was climbing there in the gyms, doing some work in the gyms, and yeah, that like training, climbing, trying to take part in competitions and stuff. So I had my little routine that I was getting used to. So I felt very, very comfortable about it. And like in the end of December, in January, I went like working for event organizing company, and like we were like making events for snowboarders and skiers. Like it's in parties, also collaborations with some brands, and all the stuff like commercial events. So when the war started, pretty much all the international companies left Russia, so they decided they will freeze all the work and all the commercials and everything that we had. So I mean, pretty much all people just left, like lost the jobs if you were connected with some brands that are like from abroad. Like I mean, I don't know, like Red Bull, or like the guys like, I don't know, any foreign company, like
They just pulled out.
Yeah. So because like other countries, they don't want to like be connected with Russia right now. That's how people like losing their jobs right now at the moment.
Yeah.
So I also like lost my job, as well as many people around me. And yeah, then I found myself that I really need to leave the country like ASAP. But it was like quite tricky because embassies are started to be closing in Russia, because they also canceled all the flights, and like there's like no air border like to Europe, so you can't take any flights from Russia to any other European country. Like the only flight that we got like was from Moscow to Turkey, and like or Dubai, or some very like distant places. But the problem with like leaving was that you kind of need visa, so you need like to find any embassy that is still open, so they can give you a passport with visa and you can go somehow. But then what do you do? I mean, then so many people like didn't know how to leave, you know. And like I really want to leave somewhere like to the place connected to climbing, because like I know many people just fled Russia to Turkey or to Georgia or to Armenia, because it's like non-visa territories for Russian people. But eventually they are returning back now to Russia, because like these countries can provide them with work or with something else. So my story was that I was like pretty lucky that I could open a touristic Schengen visa. And then I was searching away, okay, how do I cross the border?
Because you were saying they weren't actually letting people cross.
Yeah, because it's like very tricky to cross Russian border if you don't have any like special documents or proof that you need to cross the border.
So you have to have some kind of a verification of that there's a reason for you to have to leave the country.
Yeah, so that's what I did. Like I did some documents that they really need to go to Estonia, to the hospital, and get medical treatment there. That's how I just like crossed the Russian border. And while I was doing so, there were some people in the queue in front of me, and they were just like sent back because they didn't have enough of proof that they need to. I mean,
so you were standing in line watching other people being rejected.
Yeah, I was just kind of scared that I won't make it through the border. And before crossing the border, I also like deleted all the messages like connected to war. So you know, like the world war is forbidden in Russia.
Okay.
You can only call it like special operation. And regime inside the country is pretty insane right now, because if you post anything about war, if you're against the war openly and you speak up about it, you just can go to jail. And it is true, if you go to protest, you go to jail. if you post something, you go to jail. If you say something, you go to jail. And many people still unaware that it's true. It's like no jokes at all. And like, I won't say any names, not to put like people in danger, but like I know some people who are in the jail right now because of their positions against the war, and it's like pretty insane to like be in Russia right now because it's like.
So you were saying that some of these friends are going to be in jail for like 5 years even?
Yeah, they give it like up to 5 or 20 years.
Wow. And for posting something on Instagram or going to a protest?
Yeah, then the government called them foreign agents. It's like if people say that they're against the war, they are kind of foreign agents paid by different countries to discriminate like Russian regime. That's why they go to jail.
Did you say, I remember you mentioning you tried at one point to go to a protest, but by the time you actually got there with like the train, like the police had already broken it up?
It was like very crazy when the war started. Like a lot of people went protesting to protest. And like I really wanted to attend the protest, and like protests take place in the central squares of the cities. So in Moscow, by the time the central stations in the underground were kind of blocked, so people won't go out in the city center and won't go to protests. So I went out like few stations, like few kilometers away from the main square, and it was all packed with police. And it's like not just an ordinary police on the streets, it's like police with cops. And if they see like any people with the banners against the war or against the Putin, they just grab these people, beat and put them behind the bar. And I was like just very, very scared. Like I said to them, sorry, I'm like, I can't do this because like I really scared of the consequences that will cost me. So, and if I knew that I really want to leave the country, so I better don't do protest, so not to.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary. And you were also saying like it's easy for people outside of Russia to say like, well, why aren't you protesting?
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, because it has really, really intense consequences.
Yeah, it has. So when the war started, like many friends from abroad, they were messaging me, why don't you go like to the protest? Why don't you like post anything? But really, I just couldn't because they were like real laws forbidding to do so. And many people are unaware that it will really cost a lot if you do so. It's not just like protests in Europe or in the States. They really send you to jail for this, and you just can't do this. It's like this regime that Putin built is like insane, and it works, and people are scared, and people are not safe, like really. So they like, can't do anything.
Yeah,
you know.
I remember a story that you said that once you were riding on a train and you were wearing a mask.
Yeah,
Can you please tell that story?
That's a funny story.
Yeah, I mean, I was so blown away.
Yeah, because you need to wear face masks in the public transportation or in public places, like because there is coronavirus in the world happening. And like I went to the metro and I was like wearing a face mask, and then I was stopped by police because I was wearing the face mask wrong, and they like fined me for that. Like that like was insane. Like they literally pressed me and like saying like that I need to pay fine, but like it was like just like super crazy. I was like so angry and I burst into tears, and then there's like was a random guy around filming this shit, and he said it's illegal to do so, you can't do so to her, like all this stuff. And then I was just like super scared that there will be like more police coming, and I said, okay, just give me this fine, and I just ran away quickly. And you know what happened the next day? They canceled wearing masks in Moscow and in big cities for one reason, for cameras to detect people going to protest. So now if you're wearing mask, you'll be fined because it means that you are covering your face from like cameras.
That is so crazy.
It is unbelievable.
And what a scary experience, because I mean, you said you were wearing the mask just perfectly normal, and then these police officers were pushing you up against the wall.
I mean, it's like, it was just really crazy, and you just don't want to be on the central streets in Moscow in the beginning of war, because like police was acting shit on people like crazy.
Yeah. When you, when the war first started, you were in the middle of organizing an event that was partly sponsored by Red Bull, and Red Bull pulled out.
Like Red Bull and all this like stuff, and for sure like people like from foreign companies didn't want to like be a part of like something organized in Russia for sure. So
the event was canceled.
Like, yeah, so they just like canceled it. They said like, let's freeze it for some uncertain time, but like it just like said politely, you know. Of course. But what is real that you just like lose your job.
Yeah. And then shortly after that, you realized, I really want to leave the country.
I mean, it wasn't because like I lost the job, I wanted like to leave the country. I just couldn't stay inside the country with so many crazy people around. They're also like zombies, brainwashed, and I mean, I don't support Russian government at all. And for me, it was like very wrong to be inside the country that like starting the war. Like, what is this? Like, it felt for me like I'm also starting the war, you know, to like innocent people if I'm inside the country, and I was just like super scared for my safety, and I just was losing my mind inside the country. It's like a crazy country right now. You don't want to be there, you know.
It sounds like the actual leaving of the country was, you know, kind of once you started preparing like really fast. Like you said, you didn't even get to say goodbye to people. You deleted the things from your phone, got this document from your friend to go to the hospital so that you could leave. You said you went to the bank to try and get some money from your bank account.
So there's like also a situation that Russia is under a lot of sanctions right now, and one of the sanctions is like Visa and MasterCard. They don't work outside of Russia. So, I mean, you have some rubles, for example, on your card, and you want to probably exchange them into currency, into like euros or dollars or whatever, to have some cash abroad, you know, because you can't use your card. And then at the first days of war, just like a lot of people ran to the banks trying to exchange money. And now at some time, like banks ran out of euros at all. So you want to have cash, but you can't get it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was kind of a problem. Yeah.
So it didn't really make sense to pull cash that you weren't going to be able to use.
Yeah.
So you packed your bags and had that document.
Yeah, so and I just took a bus from St. Petersburg to Tallinn, Estonia, because there's like still a small piece of land border open to EU. It's like with Estonia, and that's how people go to Europe right now, with special document that you need to go to like Tallinn. That's it.
And so you were standing in line, and like you said, some people weren't being let outside, and you were
they weren't prepared like good. So
when it was your turn, obviously you were.
I was
really
very
nervous,
scared, like really nervous. I didn't know what to expect, you know, and I just like they also couldn't let me in, you know. But I was very lucky that I got through. And then at Estonian border, they don't ask you a thing. Like
Wow.
they just let you in like easily, you know. But what I heard like from Estonians, and that they also want to close this border too, cause like Estonians, they're like super scared that Putin will bomb the country too, so they don't want to get involved with like
Right.
Russian people crossing the border through their way. So I don't know for how long they will leave this border open.
Right.
So I took this chance. I mean, I could have also entered you probably through Turkey or something, but yeah, still not sure.
Yeah. You were mentioning that friends or family in Russia who either support the government or are just kind of like going with it, that there's tension with them because I don't know if you said the word traitor, but like somehow
it's
it
the
feels
word,
that way.
yeah.
That's the word they use for somebody like you who leaves.
Yeah, so there's like a big break inside the Russian people. So many people support government and they support Putin, and just a few people, they don't support what Putin does. So, and like, you know, you have friends and somehow you know that they support the war. So at the first time you just like try not to talk about political stuff with them to avoid the thing, because you don't want to like lose your friends, you know, or something. But then when everyone knows your opinion, you just got kind of separated really quickly, and you just like
Yeah.
So it's like easy, like, you know, the society in Russia collapsed like to those who stayed and blame those who left, for those who left and blame those who stayed, for those who support and who don't support. And it's like a very big thing, and like it's crazy and it's heartbreaking to witness this. Like, I mean, you had a family and then you realize that like they support Putin, and you just like don't know how to react, you know. You don't know what to say, you don't know what to think of them now, and then they just easily kick you out. Like, it's not a big deal, because it means a lot. Either like your political opinion means a lot right now, and yeah.
Leaving the country, I imagine, came with so many different emotions. I mean, at first it was just logistics, right? Like, okay, my goal is to get through the border, and your mind is with logistics. And then what was the first sensation when you were able to finally leave?
Whoa. I remember there were like many emotions at once. They all came at once. Of course, I was relieved. I felt that I'm very safe and I breathed out. But at the same time, I was still scared, you know, like very, very, very scared and terrified. And it was all overwhelming. And then I found myself at a point that like, I don't understand what I'm feeling, honestly. They're just like too much and a lot, and from like coming from different things at once. And like, how do I understand what I'm feeling? Like, I can't.
Yeah, it's too much all at once. I understand. That makes a lot of sense. And probably these emotions slowly but surely will be unfolding as you settle. Which was the next thing I was going to ask you. We are now here in Cornudella. I met you in Rodellar. And I want to dive into just the story of the climbing community, because I think that's also like such a beautiful aspect of your transition.
Yeah.
And so that whole transition, so you left, can you just like walk me through how you ended up here?
Yeah. So I was getting a lot of support from climbing community everywhere in the world. So I was very actually shocked about this. Like, I mean, come on, I'm Russian. It's my country who started the war. Like, it's my country who killing innocent people and my Ukrainian friends, and still here I am getting a lot of help from many people, and still I can't process this. So, and people who supported me the most were my Ukrainian friends, like my very close friends, and I still don't know what to say, but this thing is very beautiful, we still have this strong bond with my Ukrainian family. I call them family because they are my family right now, and it's incredible, right? Despite our nationalities, we stay together, and we're going through the war together, united, and it's like a paradox. The ugliest thing bring the most beautiful things in your life. I never experienced that much of support, of help, of good emotions, happiness, gratitude, being thankful to many people around, and it's overwhelming, and it's very beautiful.
Yeah, I remember you and I having this conversation on our drive back from Rodellar to Cornudella, talking about the war, and I was relating a little bit about the stories that my grandma had told me about World War II, being in Germany, and that paradox that you speak of, the ugliest moments and then also the most beautiful and kind and generous and supportive moments of human connection happening at the same time. It's almost like one brings the other. Yeah,
human connections beyond all else. It's humanity that you see.
Yeah. I understand your feeling of, I'm from this country and this country started the war, and when I talk to you, I do get this sensation of guilt or, feeling bad that you're from this country and that you don't want to relate to this government. And at the same time, I'm curious, when your friends from Ukraine and other countries also support you and, including myself, and tell you, you're not the one who started the war. You're a beautiful human being and it's not your fault. Does that resonate with you, or is it so deep-seated, this feeling of guilt and shame, that it's really still hard to let go of that?
It is quite deep-seated, but I'm working on it, and every day I'm closer to letting it go, and I try to detach this blame and shame that my country brought, and it's a thing that I'm working on. So, and I try to remember myself that I don't want to connect myself with my government only because I'm Russian, and I'm holding Russian passport. But sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I had feelings that I see people very, very dear to my heart, people who I love very, very much, who are the most important people to me in my life right now. And I see them in pain because of what Putin does. He's destroying their homes, he's killing their people. This is, Ukrainians, they are my people right now. They're my nation. It feels for me this like this. And then I caught myself on feeling it was me who was killing these people, and it was very bad. They really wanted to disappear and honestly to return back to Russia, in the jail, because I was thinking I'm not deserving this help. I'm not deserving to be around these amazing people. How do I do that, and or how do I detach this blame? And so it was a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm still working on it.
The climbing community specifically keeps reminding me of how lucky I am that I have a community like that can so quickly feel like family.
Yes, exactly.
And this story of yours, I feel like, is really sort of like the most intense version of that I've heard. Like everybody who has been helping you on this journey, most of them have been climbers.
Yeah,
including myself.
All of them are climbers. So climbing community is such a great thing, and I have like a lot of gratitude towards climbing community daily, because it's what, like, I mean, climbing community is literally saving my life right now, because if it's not climbers, like, where or to whom should I go, like, and what should I do? So I'm very, very lucky to be into climbing. So, and I have people around me to whom I can rely on, like, and trust, and like to be opened up, and like it is like very unique and beautiful and exciting, and I'm just like thankful and grateful every day to every climber out there who support me and who offers me so much help, and who offers me a space to trust them and to be opened up, and like just to feel safe. The feeling of safety that I have right now is like something very important to me, like, and yeah, that's it.
Thank you. I want to go back, because we kind of got off track of like how you ended up in Cornudella, because I'm just really excited about the prospect of you becoming part of this community for selfish reasons. I really like you, and I want to climb with you and hang out. And
I'm looking forward to climbing together.
Yeah, so because I met you in Rodellar, and so you had already made it to Spain, but I think you said were you in Germany or Switzerland beforehand?
So for like first place I came in EU was Germany. I like joined my friends and my Ukrainian family there, and then I joined them on climbing trips, and then we went to Spain, and I stayed here for some reasons. So, and it seems like I'm staying here forever.
It seems like it's working out for you.
It is like, I never imagined that I will be welcomed and accepted that much, and in such a short period of time. It's like crazy how fast things got like settled down, and how fast like I found my people here. It's like very interesting experience. Like I just came, and one day I didn't have a plan at all, and the next day, like, people willing to help me out just came to my life, and that was just like that. One day you're like very uncertain, sad, and frustrated, and like you don't know what to do, and the next day you just like saved, with the plan, and you can, see your future. You can think about the future, and
yeah, we were talking about that earlier. That was I enjoyed that conversation about the points connecting and the universe kind of bringing together things, and how at first things weren't working out so much in Germany and Switzerland, and then one thing led to the next, and you ended up in Spain, and how people are willing to help, and how the dots start connecting. And like you said, you go from a day of feeling like I don't even know what I'm going to do and where I'm going to be and where I'm going to live, which I assume triggers a lot of general anxiety and sadness, to waking up and being like, I have a plan, I have somebody I can stay with, logistics are being worked out, and all the necessary steps to be able to be here. And that is such a, important transition for you, like you said, to feel safe and to feel like you actually are landing where you can, see yourself in the future.
Yeah, that's like very fundamental feeling to me right now. And like, I'm very like just thankful every day, that I have like, that I'm so lucky that I was welcomed by climbing community and like that I'm having a life right now, like, I mean,
Yeah, because like you were saying, other people that might not have that same community wouldn't have had the support to be able to leave the country or even have a
Yeah.
place to go.
I mean, if you want to leave Russia and you don't have connections abroad, where do you go? Where do you stay? And what do you want to do? Like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine that what people do. That's why many of decent, of good people stay in Russia, because they have nowhere to go, or they just like very scared to go abroad, because like Russian propaganda works this way that if you step out of Russia, you'll be hated everywhere, and like that's it. That
You can't just come back and expect a life.
yes, so it's like very scaring and terrifying for many people inside Russia, so they don't leave.
How does the feeling of possibly never going back to Russia affect you?
Good question. Ooh, I mean, it's really hard to answer. It's like a very good question. Like, sometimes I can imagine easily that I will never return back to Russia. But then I catch myself and thought that I really can that I'm able to miss my homeland, but not because of the government or places, but like because of people who stayed there, or because like I'm holding some nice memories from my childhood there, or something like this, you know. And like it's just interesting that now I came here not on a climbing trip, so eventually I will not be returning back home. So I'm just like, I just started seeing things from different angles. So you never thought about them before when you were on a like basic climbing trips with the possibility of returning back. So I'm just like trying to adjust myself to that. And like, for example, I'm just like climbing on a rock and I'm thinking, wow, is it the place I'll be like staying for quite some time? So am I really gonna live here? And I still can't believe it, you know. But I mean, some days I think back of Russia and I really want to keep nice memories of my country, you know, like beautiful nature, like my childhood with grandparents there, my close people, and the nice moments we shared. But then there comes this ugly feeling that is like the most terrible country ever right now.
Yeah, again, the paradox.
Yeah, and now I'm just like, for myself, I'm just trying to skip this question because it's like very complicated to answer, and I just like wanna run away of thinking about this, you know.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense because everything is also so fresh, and you never know what's going to happen in the future. I mean, there
for
are
sure.
countries that eventually had new governments and eventually opened back up. And I did ask you this the other day, you know, because we were talking about my friend whose father is from Vietnam and thought he was never going to go back once he left, but eventually he did. And you know, Putin has been in power now for how long again?
20 years.
20
It's crazy.
It is crazy. So he's been in power for most of your life because you're 23 years old, right? So you said to me that even if he's not in power, he already has like something set
Yeah,
up.
he already has like his people from his inner circle who will take his power. So I don't think that things will change inside of Russia. Like
Anytime soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. May I ask you about the email that you got about?
So yeah, so there's like a lot of things, a lot of talks inside the Russia, and like is like especially propaganda that says that Putin can reply back to some European countries just like using nuclear power. So they don't say it like straight ahead, but like they use some expression that you can understand, okay, he's talking about nuclear bomb. So, and like we have this, so many of our newspapers got shut down in Russia because they're talking about the war, and like a lot of medias got just shut down because the government doesn't like it. So Instagram got blocked, Facebook got blocked. So now people only in Russia have national television, which is totally under control. And like, but there's still some independent medias who left Russia and working from abroad. And like, they got really like nice, not nice, of course. They got like some letters and notes how to be prepared for nuclear wars, like what to do, what should you do first, like where you need to find a bomb shelter, like either it's possible or is it like jokes we're talking about. So I just like read this. You know, you're just like reading a note on how to be prepared on nuclear war. So it is something, you know, you just like don't want to believe it and you don't want to take the thing seriously. But there is a possibility of nuclear war, and you just like reading this information and think, oh my God, like it can happen. And it's serious, and like you don't like for me, like I don't want to survive the nuclear war. I just like want to die immediately.
Yeah, I feel the same way about that. I will say I don't think I want to find a bomb shelter. And
Yeah.
I mean, because really, what does this email say? Like, bring a bunch of food and never come
the
outside and water
then, like
and
use the map of bomb shelters. Actually, people didn't realize that there are a lot of bomb shelters underneath, like shopping malls. Some of the metro stations are bomb shelters, etc., etc. But yeah, just like very, very crazy.
It does feel very strange that the war is going on. And I, personally have felt pretty misplaced because, Spain is quite far away in comparison to Germany, for example, where I have friends working as volunteers, helping, refugees that arrive at the train station, like pointing them in the right direction and helping find shelter and things like this. And I feel, in this little village of Cornudella in Spain, like so removed from the war. And news was getting me so depressed that I stopped watching it because I just...
Same for me.
It feels so surreal.
It is. It still feels very surreal, and you just like want to hide from this reality, and you just like... But sometimes I really blame myself that like, look, I'm here just like climbing, enjoying life, like having friends, hanging out like with friends, while innocent people, my friends who are still are in Ukraine, like they hiding in the shelters, and I feel so bad about it. And like just actually like every day I'm thinking like not like of Russian people stuck in Russia, but like of my Ukrainian friends, like who are still there in the country and in real danger. And like here am I like just like climbing, and it feels wrong sometimes. But I can say that like my Ukrainian family and my Ukrainian friends, they're still competing on international events, on IFSC events, and I find it's like very brave, very inspiring, and like very important that they represent their country in this way while the war happening. And I mean, they represent their brave country, their brave nation, their strengths. And like, I mean, it's hard for them, but like this, what they're doing right now, it's like amazing, you know. It's very brave and it's very strong, and I'm very, very proud of them daily, of their achievements, and that they still finding like this strength to continue competing in order to like represent their amazing country, you know. And
Yeah.
it is very amazing. But yeah, but basically, but for me it's also, you know, very strange that like, I mean, Russian athletes, they can compete, like, and like here am I appearing on some World Cups, like just watching from the crowd, but like still, like, you know, it feels like also not so good that my friends from the team, they won't be able to compete. But you know, here I am just like watching World Cups from the crowd. Like, I have mixed feelings about this.
Of course.
And I know they also have mixed feelings about me. Like joining my Ukrainian friends, my European friends, like my American friends, you know. So many people in Russia made a shit show out of it. Like, I'm with my Ukrainian family, they like talking crazy stuff about it.
Yeah. How long were you competing for?
I think around 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, you kind of know I will never compete again. But that's the reality. Like, on one hand, I feel like it's very unfair because they're like still very good, innocent people in like athletes. They don't deserve it for sure. So they're like innocent people. And like when there were other wars around, like not any other countries got so many sanctions, especially connected with sports. But on the other hand, I feel like it's too something that need to be done, you know, like to show that Russian government can't just have it on its hand, you know, like.
Yeah.
But I also feel bad about accepting this, you know, because like I competed, I'm Russian, and I know like a lot of my Russian friends, they put a lot of efforts in like in their sports career, which is taken away right now, like, which is very heartbreaking. But also the sanctions that the world put against Russia, these sanctions, they don't affect Putin. They affect innocent people who are against the war. That's the problem. And it really makes me feel bad, you know.
I think this is one of the things that impacted me the most in our first conversation that we just had a few days ago in Rodellar, talking about the consequences of the sanctions on Russian people, like the, you know, just the average Russian families, and how much affected they are. I feel like people from outside know half of this story, and that's why I'm really looking forward to sharing this episode, because it's easy, as you said, to say, okay, Ukraine is the country that is the victim, and they are, but not to think about how Russians are living this war themselves. And, you know, I mean, of course, I was aware of the fact that not every Russian person supports Putin, but just hearing you tell me the stories about athletes losing the, you know, the possibility of pursuing the career, or these events being canceled and people losing their jobs, and, you know, the inflation. I mean, people are really suffering, and the last person, like you said, who's suffering is Putin.
Yeah, he's the last person, and he will never suffer eventually. So it's just like, mostly it's like people who are against the war, they suffer, but they can't leave the country. So economics collapsed, and people, they don't have jobs, and like Russian ruble dropped, and there's like a very big crisis coming up, and still people, they don't realize it. They think that will return back, like everything will like end soon, so they will be living like happy lives again. But I guess they're not. But it's what also about Russian mentality, that people are okay with suffering, you know? It's our mentality that like we suffered 10 years ago, we suffered 20 years ago, we suffered 30 years ago when the crisis hit. So people, they never knew any other way of living life, you know, except of suffering. That's why they kind of okay being in Russia.
Yeah.
But
does Putin answer to his people? Does he say things about a hopeful future and how he's going to help the ones that are, you know, financially and just not, you know, even able to feed their families? I mean, does he answer to the people?
I never read such speeches or heard of them, because like I'm trying to avoid getting a lot of news right now. I'm not sure he has answers, you know. Like, and what he's saying is like always lies, you know, all the time. And but probably he says something encouraging to people, and they believe him. Like, they don't have any other choices but to believe Putin. Honestly, what else do they do in this country? But also for me, I mean, yeah, people in Russia are suffering too. But for me, it's also like feels bad. But I mean, it's about Ukrainian people who are suffering, and it's like not about Russia. It's like first thing, like you need to think about like Ukraine and its people and its nation and its situation. And I mean, okay, situation for most of people in Russia sucks, but look what Putin is doing like to Ukraine and the things they're like facing with, and it's like terrifying. And after I'm thinking about Ukraine, I don't want to like think back of Russia again, you know. Even things are very bad for like my friends there, for like my families, but it's still nothing, you know, compared to losing like life of innocent people. I mean, people are losing work and like stuff, but they're not losing their life. So I mean, you know, I have mixed feelings about it as well.
I understand. And like you were saying, also this added feeling of, you know, guilt or shame. It is very complex feeling. Would you say that most of your friends that you really felt close to in Russia did not support Putin really, but never said anything? Or do many of them actually really believe in Putin? Or again, if you don't feel comfortable responding to that question,
No, I'm totally fine answering this, because you know, once the war started, I thought for myself, of course no one supports him, of course no one supports Putin. But as long as I stayed inside the country, as much I realized that there are people supporting him, and they are from my inner circle, you know, and it was very, very heartbreaking. And it just crazy. You just like look at a friend, and then you know it's not your friend anymore, and it's like very sad thing. But like we all have choices, and I still have my choices, and if you don't respect my choice, like we're not meant to be together, and like we have separate ways. And like since day war, I have my own opinion, and I have some truths I wanted to stand for, and I still not changing it for sure. But there are a lot of people who were against the war at the first days, and they took other side now, you know, because when you're inside the country and you got brainwashed daily, you just like losing your own opinion and become brainwashed as well. And it's also very, very sad. And I know like I mean, Russian people, Russian friends, they don't say any message, like they don't say any words to me. They don't send me messages because they're quite scared of communicating with me. Like, I spoke up openly, and they think that if they have connections with me, they're in danger, too.
Of course.
That's very tricky.
Yeah, because, I mean, even though you had officially the right to leave because you had the document, did you end up actually going to that hospital? You never actually went there. You had that paper
papers,
and yeah. So in some ways you left, but at this point, there might be a suspicion that you won't come back, and so if they're in touch with you, then that could put them at risk.
Yeah. So if I'm also returning back, I'm at a big risk too.
Yeah, of course.
But I don't want to think about it.
Yeah. You and I were talking about this on our drive here, that division, because on a much smaller scale, but still real scale, during the Trump season, we had a very divided country, and I think we're still trying to recover from that. So I got, a taste of what it feels like to live in a country that is so divided, where you don't even feel safe or willing to talk about politics because you're either pro-Trump or not for Trump. And so, I would say my closest friends did not support Trump, but, in an expanded field, I have friends or family or extended family or, neighbors in Montana or Colorado that I really care about, that believed in him, that believed in his message, make America great again. So I understand this feeling of, I don't even know how to explain. It's like you still really love and care about somebody, but you just know that you will never be able to agree on this one thing. It's so divided. It's not just a political conversation about parties and laws. It's just like one or the other.
There's just like a wall between you.
Absolutely.
And you kind of want to break this barrier, but you can't anymore, And this relationship that you had before is not the same ever again, and you actually don't want to continue it, right? And it's pretty heartbreaking to lose people in this way.
Yes. So one thing I was going to ask you, for me, climbing has always been this tool, or I guess therapy, in some ways. It doesn't solve my life problems logistically or financially or anything, but it is this thing that I think climbers, we like to go to find peace, to find space. So I'm curious, you had this transition to Europe, and climbing has been part of that transition. Have you been able to use climbing in that sense, or how has that affected you?
So my connection with climbing was changing throughout the past weeks. When I first came to you, I was climbing not because I want to climb hard, send hard routes and be fit and all this stuff and continue just doing something. I was going to climb for only one reason: to distract myself from bad thoughts, from anxiety, from pain and grief. I just wanted to have something for myself. It's quality time that I only have for myself, and that will allow me to distract from the reality I am right now. So I was just trying to focus only on the moves, only on routes and boulders, and it felt so nice just to move and thinking only about the movement, not about news and tragedies and all this stuff. And it really helped. Climbing was sanctuary to me. This was a place where I could hide, and I was also trying to do so in Russia, but I couldn't. And if I went climbing in Russia, I got messages why are you climbing right now? How could you just go and climb, while there's people dying and your friends are dying? And I just said like, I just really can't climb there, and it felt very wrong to me. But what else can I do? What else can I give for myself to like help myself, to heal myself or something? That's why I was like trying to have climbing at this tool. So I was climbing like this, and it really helped me. Like climbing, it helps me to heal. But at some point I found myself that I'm struggling with climbing right now, because there is some amount of stress that I really want to avoid on the wall. So there's like stress on the ground, then you go climb up, and you kind of don't have the things going after you. But at some point, I started climbing, and these things that I wanted to avoid, they start like coming at me again. Like I was climbing, and I got even more stress. Well, like while I wasn't climbing, and it was so weird that I felt even more stress when I'm climbing rather than I'm not climbing, because I couldn't control my emotions. I couldn't control my thoughts. Like I couldn't think about like hard moves or interesting moves, or I wasn't enjoying climbing at all, and it was all like twisted, and like I was scared that I will lose like climbing, like having as a big part of me as a joy, something that I have, like something that I always have in my life. I really didn't want to lose this feeling and I didn't want to put dark colors on climbing, I really wanted to stay as my safe place, and I was struggling with that a lot. And then I just like was coming to the crack and taking naps instead of climbing, because I just like couldn't put myself into pieces, and I couldn't be like productive on the wall, it was like very weird. So climbing felt very bad for me, but now I'm surprised I'm slowly having it back like to my life. That's something I will always have to myself despite anything else happening around. And it feels really nice that this connection with climbing changes back in a good way. And I'm just like very happy about it. But it's what comes about climbing, but what comes about like myself, I don't know. And like I really try to find the pieces of myself that I lost, like because of things happening with war. And I really believe that climbing will also help with that too. So if I'll find myself back climbing well on the walls, then I think I will like find myself back like as a personality, as a human, not as a climber back. So that's what's happening with me right now, And what like the greatest thing with climbing, so when I was struggling, and like my Ukrainian family and my guys, they were climbing so strong and like so good, and every day I was just like very proud of them, like that they put so much effort and they express their strong personality and their character through climbing, on the wall, sending very, very hard routes now. And it felt for me like they have this inner strength translated into climbing right now. They're like very beautiful souls, like very amazing people, and like they show their strengths through climbing, and they inspired me daily with that. Okay, I'm okay that I don't have my like good climbing right now, but I'm so very fulfilled by their climbing, and so like inspired and motivated even more than before. And it was a very beautiful thing to witness, like their impressive climbing, and how they could continue like doing the thing that they love doing in these obstacles. It's just like very impressive for me. And like I was so happy for them when they sent their projects. It's like nothing else I could ever wish for. So to see the people you love dearly with like the smiles on their faces and just being, happy and like having climbing in the life, that's what I really wished about. And I'm very lucky to experience and to witness this and to join them on their like journey, on their climbing trips, just to like just I know it's like a lot for them and they're going through a lot of hard stuff, but it amazes me, like very amazes me how strong they are, not as climbers but like as human beings, and how they can use climbing as a tool to translate this inner strength. It's like incredible, it's a great, it was just super great to be around, like, and to see them happy doing what they love. And I really appreciate these moments, and I keep them in my heart. It's just wonderful. It's not just like ordinary sense, it's just now in this situation it's something else.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I was actually going to say, when you talked about you were, climbing was therapy for you for a little while, and then to the point where the stress came to a certain moment where like it was almost like on you, with you while you were climbing.
Yes.
I've also experienced that, where I think climbing can be very relieving, and if you can really focus and breathe and let go, it can have that effect. But I also believe and feel that when your stress level gets to a certain point, which obviously right now it is at a very high point, sometimes it just almost adds more stress because it is demanding.
Yes,
where like you were saying, napping at the crag or just being with friends or like allowing yourself to rest physically so that your mind can rest can actually be what you what you really need in the moment. But again, I find it really impressive that your friends and like you said, your family from Ukraine, that they have this, like, they can tap into that inner strength and go beyond what is going on in this personal level and be able to really focus in on their projects.
It's amazing.
It's really inspiring.
It is inspiring, and to witness it is like very a big deal for me, and it's like very important to me. And also I'm very grateful that they allowed me to be on their journey, to share these moments together. It's like a very great thing. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it. And I just like want to cherish their accomplishment, because like it's an incredible thing they're doing right now, and I'm very, very proud of them.
One thing that I was going to ask you, if I may, so when I first met you in Rodellar and we started talking, and just even 10 minutes into our conversation, obviously my podcaster brain kicks in and says, you must tell this story. Because I had goosebumps, and you shared a lot with me. Later on, I asked if you would be willing to do a recording with me, and I immediately followed by completely understand if you don't want to, or you don't feel safe, or you just don't feel inspired. Absolutely no problem. But I had to ask, and obviously I was really touched and grateful that you were willing to do the recording. You said at the time that you are grateful that I would like to give you a voice. And some of the details that we did not mention in our recording today, I am curious what that sensation is like, because you said, obviously in Russia, you did not feel safe.
Yes.
You did not feel like you have a voice. Now you are in a safe place. And, in this recording, I would like to give you a voice. For obvious reasons, you cannot and will not share every single detail that you've shared with me on a personal level today. Can you share a little bit of that sensation with me?
Yeah, because they're like some topics I don't feel like I can talk in public, to like a wide group of people, because eventually some people, I heard a lot of people live in Russia, and I accept that, and I know that, and I don't want them to be hurt even more. Other stuff is just like a more personal, and maybe I don't feel like opening up about this, or if it comes to my family, and I really want them to stay safe, they're, still in Russia and they can't leave, and I don't want some words to put them like in danger, which really like happens in Russia. So by words you can be destroyed. So, and maybe other stuff is just like, I'd love to share, but maybe later when I feel more settled down, or when things will be settled down, because it's like
you're still in transition. And even though you feel safe, but obviously a lot of things are being still worked out.
A lot of things, especially about politics and that stuff, I can't speak about openly. It's like, I think it's not my role to speak about them, or I can speak them not super correctly. I don't want to got different impressions on it, and probably I hope these things will change, but first, I don't want to hurt people more than I hurt them.
Absolutely. No, that makes perfect sense. And I really appreciate even all the information and stories and experiences that you did share today. And I'm so grateful that you are in a position where you can slowly start sharing, and you can slowly feel a little more safe. And I'm grateful that you're part of this community, and I'm really looking forward to you being here, and to seeing you more, and for you to settle down and every time and every day feel a little bit more at home. And I hope to be part of that process with you.
Thank you so much for these words. They really mean a lot to me, and I hope that I just trusted the life to take me where I needed to be. And right now, when things around are very uncertain, I still have these feelings that I'm where I needed to be, among people I need to be around, and it's a very wonderful thing. And I will thank climbing community and its people forever for all the help that they offered me, and the life that they offered me. If it's not climbing community, so what else do I do? So I will cherish climbing forever for this, for sure, and for everyone I met along my way. And even though I want to show people that I'm very, very grateful and thankful, but sometimes I feel like I'm not saying it the way that I need to say, but I just want to let people know that I'm very, very grateful for the help and for everything that all of you are doing to me. It means a lot to me, and it's very unique experience that during terrible times you can experience a lot of beautiful things, and humanity, and gratitude and happiness and joy. And I never experienced that much of diverse emotions that I'm experiencing right now. And now I know, okay, human body is capable of experiencing these things in that much
time.
amount. Yeah. So, and I can go through this, and literally my life got divided in two parts, before this and after this. And what I had, it's beyond words, really. And I'm very, very thankful for you to let me speak a little bit. And it's also important for me to say some words, but a lot of people ask me how they can help me. And I think the only help that I can get is for you to help Ukrainian people. And Ukrainian climbers and like Ukraine and its country, and it's what I really ask for all of you. If you can do so, like please donate money to Ukrainian organization and please reach out to Ukrainian climbers. And that's what I really ask you for. If you can do so, I'll be very, very grateful, you know. And just like once again, thank you for everyone that I can share my story with you. And thank you for being in my life and that I can share moments with you all. So I'm very thankful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Isa.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And please feel free to send questions, comments, and topics you would like to hear about to Isabel at kegelsandcoffee.com. That is ISABEL at kegelsandcoffee.com, or you can find me on Instagram under Kegels and Coffee. Take good care, stay tuned, and remember, when in doubt, drink coffee or do Kegels.